We are here today to present Space Login, a system aimed to improve the issues regarding seat availability at the University of Warwick Library. We are Futury, a boutique consultant agency specializing in change management. We are here today to provide specialist advice to the University of Warwick Library in the form of an evidence-based change plan. Our team consists of 5 experienced consultants with expertise in managing organizations and implementing change to increase productivity. The outline of our presentation comprises of the following subsections. We will begin by exploring the institution in depth by looking at the university library culture through Shine's iceberg model. Progressing forward, we will present and investigate our issue before we embark upon the change process. This is undertaken through understanding what the institution currently deploys, findings related to the surveys conducted, and a relevant stakeholder analysis. Next, we will explore the change itself and identify the type of change it is and how the process will come about. This will be presented by introducing a range of theories and models. Delving into post-change, we will discuss reactions to the change in terms of emotions and resistance. The presentation will conclude with our proposed change limitations. The University of Warwick's library was selected as the organisation on several dimensions. To begin with, the library is home to the largest study space on campus, accommodating all types of students. There are also multiple study areas on campus, but the Warwick Library is the only area that is not exclusive to a certain type of student degree. Therefore, improving the institution will benefit all students. In addition, from the research conducted through our recent survey, we saw that 98% of students have visited the library at least once during the course of their degree, and around 46% of students utilize the library facilities at least once a week. From these statistics, we have observed that the library is a fundamental aspect of the university, which is why we chose to implement a change here. We chose to use Shine's iceberg model to analyze the culture of the library. This model was devised in 1985 and explains the concept of culture and the way it affects organizations. It is a dynamic model of learning with the aim to explain why people behave differently in various organizations. Shine observed that culture is always in the process of formation and change tends to cover all aspects of human functioning. There are various levels of culture, and Shine segments these into 3 categories known as the iceberg culture. The first elements are norms, behaviors, and artifacts, which are visible to the whole organization. They could include the physical attributes of an organization. Within the library, physical attributes include bookshelves, computers, desks, and offices. The second level is known as personal values and attitudes, which are operational principles that guide the organization. There is less awareness, but is often expressed through the mission statement, strategies, and goals of the organization. The values and beliefs are the way the library is run and adhering to the rules, such as no eating and talking loudly on levels 3 to 5. The third level is cultural values and assumptions, which are unconscious and fundamental aspects of human nature. In light of the library, it is a space in which you gain and share knowledge. This is an unspoken and uncontested assumption regarding a library in general. Although this model is criticized by Hatch in 1993 for dismissing important factors such as the appreciation of culture as symbols and processes, it provides a clear starting point to understand levels of culture within an organization. From our various primary and secondary research conducted into the University of Warwick's library, we have deduced 2 major and interrelated issues that we plan to implement a change for. Firstly, seat location. Students have difficulty locating a seat generally, and especially so when the library is busy. Secondly, there is a problem regarding seat reservation. Often students reserve or hog seats for their friends, making actual vacant seats unavailable for other students to use. We conducted a student survey regarding the student library experience. As mentioned, key problems were mostly occurring in seat location and seat hogging. As presented, the statistics highlight the problems students face. For example, 42% of students find it very difficult to find a seat, with a large percentage taking more than 4 minutes. 65% that they often find that a seat is reserved or hogged by a student for a friend. Overall, both issues resulted in 100% of respondents feeling negative emotions, with 33% feeling a sense of frustration. Additionally, we conducted a staff survey to gain another stakeholder perspective. The qualitative survey looked into what the staff believed to be a problem in the library. They agreed that space availability and space hogging were the fundamental issues and went on to say that it is due to increased footfall in the library over the last 3 years. Moreover, through this, we understood that space hogging and seat availability are interrelated issues. Due to the increased footfall, there is an augmented fear among students in finding a seat, resulting in them seeking their friends to reserve a seat. In consequence, students who have unreserved seats find it difficult to locate a vacant and unhogged seat. The issue faced by the library can be supported by the paradox of success. Created by Tushman and O'Reilly in 1997, this model aims to explain the idea that success can generate inertia, thus turning success factors into liabilities. In this case, the library is the oldest and largest study space on campus, however still experiencing success through continued footfall. In light of this, the library has failed to account for the environmental shift of increased footfall and therefore is in a position of structural inertia, as they disregard thoughts on adapting to the changing environment. Moreover, this has created a success paradox for the library, as they are reluctant to change because of the success of students still increasingly using and depending on the library and its resources. From our research into the library, we saw that there is currently a system in place to view seat availability using a traffic light system. This is very basic and does not specify number or location of seats available. There is also a section on My Warwick app that allows students to view how many seats are available in the library. But this is not very visible, and not many students are aware of this mechanism as they don't have the app. Limitations underpinning what is currently deployed is that space hogging is not taken into account. This is an issue that is more so prevalent within exam season. Moving on, we will now conduct a stakeholder analysis, which is a model developed by Scholes in 1998. The aim of this model is to identify the key stakeholders according to the dimensions of power and interest. The relevant stakeholders in this case are students, library employees, the University of Warwick Board, and the University of Warwick IT Services. Students pose the greatest interest within the library, however hold very little power due to external management and hierarchy within the decision-making. In light of this, students should be kept informed regarding change. Library employees have medium interest and low power relative to the other stakeholders. This is due to the fact that even though they don't directly use the library facilities or have any decision-making power, they are involved in maintaining and managing the library premise. Moreover, library employees should be monitored and kept informed regarding the change process. The University of Warwick Board are positioned within the Keep Satisfied quadrant as they have high power but low interest. The board has low interest due to not being directly affected by the issue of seat availability and hogging. However, their decision-making knowledge and resources places them to have high power. The Warwick IT Services are similarly not affected by the issue of seat availability and space hogging, with little decision-making power, resulting in them maintaining little interest and power on the issue at hand. Commitment mapping is a tool created by Beckard and Harris in 1997, which illustrates how the stakeholders involved in the change would react to the proposition. As previously discussed, the students have high interest in the change but low decision-making power. Hence, they would let the change happen and could potentially help it happen by being open and flexible to the idea. The library employees have high moderate interest but higher decision-making power, and hence can help the change happen by being trained accordingly and utilizing the new technology effectively. The University Board have the highest power and resources required to ensure that the proposed change can happen. The IT services, with their little power and interest, are not affected by the change and hence would be indifferent. Our change proposition is simple. We want to make it easier for students to locate and maintain a seat in the library. We will do this by creating an incremental change, enhancing the current system of in-house screens and the University of Warwick app. This will be in the form of a seat plan available for students to view vacant seats. The second issue of seat hogging will be addressed through a personal login system that will be installed at each desk. We will now walk you through a step-by-step analysis of our proposed change. Step 1. The student enters the library. Step 2. The seating plan maps are available to view by the screens next to the library main stair and lifts. Step 3. The student locates an empty seat and makes their way to the designated floor. Step 4. The student sits down at the vacant seat and taps their student ID card into the newly designed desk machine to log in. Step 5. When the student finishes with their seat, the ID card is re-tapped to effectively log out. Step 6. The seat becomes vacant for another student to use. We will apply Lewin's force field analysis to demonstrate the potential forces which will affect our change plan. This analysis was introduced by Kurt Lewin to provide an overview of the change problems that need to be tackled by business, splitting factors into forces for and against change. Applying this issue regarding the library, my team has deduced that the forces for change are the increasing library footfall, support generated by student survey and staff, and the inadequacy of currently deployed systems. On the other hand, forces resisting change are potentially high costs of desk login machines and associated technology, which may require constant maintenance by a newly appointed facility team. Additionally, resistance can occur among students and library employees. Generally, the forces for change outweigh those resisting change, as the drivers are led by the students who have the highest interest within the library and therefore form an integral reason for change. Following on from the force field analysis, we will now use Lewin's change management model created in 1947 to analyze our change process. It consists of 3 steps: unfreezing, changing, and refreezing, and represents a very simple and practical model to understand the change process. For Lewin, the process of change entails creating the perception that a change is needed, then moving towards the new, desired level of behavior, and finally solidifying that new behavior as the norm. The unfreezing stage will be executed through seeking support from relevant stakeholders, most importantly, the students with the highest interest within the institution and the Warwick board with the highest decision-making power and who can make the change happen according to the commitment map. Such support has already been highlighted through the student survey, in which 91% of students will use Space Login. Progressing to stage 2, the change will greatly be facilitated by the IT services who can support the creation of Space Login and its associated technology. Additionally, the library employees can implement the change through generating notices and awareness of the new system. Finally, within Refreeze, Space Login aims to become a part of the culture of Warwick University Library. This can be exemplified through Shine's iceberg model. More specifically, the physical desk login machine will conform to the physical attribute of the library culture. Additionally, using Space Login will become a norm in using the library, as one has to log in to use the seat. In order to maintain this change, training of the system will be made available to the library staff and IT services. Lewin's change management model, however, comes with some limitations. To begin with, it is criticized for being too linear as an approach to change management. Secondly, it doesn't take into account personal factors that could affect change. What's more, it disregards the idea that change is something that should be seen as a constant. This is seen in Kotter's 8-step change model, which incorporates this idea. Lastly, this model is rarely applicable to changes that are radical, so cannot be used for all types of changes. Nevertheless, this model provides a valuable approach to see how change should be conducted. In order to identify if there is any potential resistance to our change, we want to explore the reactions, that in particular, the negative ones associated with the change. There are various emotions that could come about as a result of this change. We have separated these into positive and negative emotions. We believe that the negative emotions are frustration, anger, and cynicism. The aim of Space Login, however, is to instill a sense of assurance, security, and relief among students. Before looking at how to approach the negative reactions to change, we must understand why people resist change in the first place. According to the traditional view of resistance, there are 4 main reasons why people may resist change. Relevant to our implemented change are resistance associated through parochial self-interest. More specifically, students feel that they would rather cater to their own self and their friends and therefore hog seats. Additionally, there is resistance that is motivated through a low tolerance to change, as the new system utilizes a new way of entering and using the library, which students might find alien and difficult to comply with. Although our change will aim to improve the library, we have noticed some limitations. For example, we realize that our proposition will incur high implementation costs, since it will require a new system to be installed through our individual login machines. What's more, this is a long-term strategy that can only be implemented with the help of various departments. We estimate that this change will be able to come about in 1 year. In terms of the idea itself, we realize that this proposition does not ease the issue of increased library footfall as mentioned earlier in the presentation. For this to be addressed, there has to be more seating created in the library. Lastly, the system could also be exploited, as students may intentionally not log out when they leave the seat, which means other students cannot use the seat. We understand that our change comes with notable limitations, but we believe that this could not hinder its progression. To conclude, we have highlighted the two key interrelated issues of seat availability and space hogging through undertaking primary research and drawing upon various management models. These issues have been addressed through the implementation of Space Login, a system that saves time for students and helps them easily find and retain a seat at the Warwick University Library.